Hey Flosstube, Pam here, stitching between the lines. Blogspot.com. I actually updated my blog, but if you watch my videos, you've probably seen all the same things. I'm here. I was going to make a video before I went away. We've been on vacation. And I forgot. Isn't that awful? I was going to do it on Friday. We left on a Monday, a week ago Monday. And I was going to do it on Friday morning. And Friday morning rolled around and I was doing whatever I usually do in the morning. And I thought to myself, I have a strange amount of extra time that I didn't expect to have today. And I wondered what I had thought I was going to do. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me when it was a little too late to do it that I was going to make a Flosstube video that morning. So I missed my opportunity. And we'll do one now, and we'll do one again soon because I'm expecting a package in the mail soon from Vanna with some finishes. So I wanted to do this video about other things other than her finishes. I didn't want to overshadow any of her finishes with my other chit-chat, yammering, and whatnot. So I have a cold. I'm sure you can hear. I'm going to try not to cough during this whole thing and or video edit it out because, you know, I know how to do that. Haha. We'll see. We're going to learning. I did editing on my last video, so I know how to edit now. I don't know if I know how to put things in, but I'll try. We'll see. Anyway, I'm messing around with my little footstool here on the floor, so it's making noise. I have some things to show, some progress, a finish or two, and a lot of something I said I really wasn't going to show very much of. I had the opportunity to shop. So I thought maybe I'd show you what I acquired because it was for me, maybe a once in a lifetime stop. I don't know if I would go back, have the opportunity to go back. I probably will have an opportunity to go back to the general area. Whether we would have the chance to go to the store or not, I don't know. Anyway, my husband and I, he had a conference to go to in a little town in southwestern Utah called St. George. And when we would tell people where we were going, nobody knew where it was, had ever heard of it. Even the person working at the counter at the airport said, "Is there a Caribbean island I've never heard of? A new Caribbean island or something." It was funny. Excuse me, sorry. So anyway, we went to this little town in southwestern Utah. I'd never been to Utah. I've been to Colorado. I've been to Nevada, but never quite like in the desert mountains in the same way. So it's a very nice little town. It's growing. It was I'm not Mormon. But I live, and people who are Mormon or Church of the Latter-day Saints will understand this. I live 20 minutes from the town of Palmyra, where the Hill Cumorah pageant goes on. And when we would tell people, let me back up. People visit St. George, Utah by the busloads. Like busloads of people come to tour it, to see the town and pull up and see the various Mormon sites. So when my husband and I went a couple days early, so it was just us in the town, and people would say, "Where are you from?" And we'd say, "We're from Western New York." And they're like, "Are you here with a bus trip?" And we'd say, "No, just us." They were surprised. They were shocked because people come, like I said, come by the busload, and they asked what brought us there and why were we there. And apparently no hotels in the area actually do corporate events, but there was apparently some arm twisting and some convincing of this very, very, very nice resort to host us. So anyway, we were there and we saw some really cool things. St. George was the winter home of Brigham Young. So somebody later told us that St. George is called the Florida of Utah because, you know, it's very warm. It's the warmest part of the state. And so people come and they winter there and then they go back north for the summer. So anyway, we saw some really neat things and learned some things, really did learn some things. When we visit a place, we like to check out like a historic museum, the Historical Society or something, and we went to the Daughters of the Utah Pioneer Museum, which was very interesting. And the ladies that volunteer there spent a lot of time with us, showing us things, and we're just delighted to see some people not coming by the busload that wanted to see what it was all about, what was in the area. So anyway, that's where we were, St. George, Utah, which was very nice. And it's a short drive short 2-hour-ish drive to Hoover Dam, which we did, and then on to Las Vegas. So the store that I got to go to was oh my gosh, I just had a brain freeze. And I'm telling you, I threw the receipt away because my husband wasn't going to see this. Hang on. Stitcher's Paradise. I kept wanting to call it Hideaway, but I knew there wasn't any hiding involved. So anyway, it was really nice to get to go to a store that stocked so many nice things. And I mostly just bought things that I already knew I wanted in fabric. That was the bulk of what I bought, was fabric, because I got to touch and see and feel the fabric. So I'm just going to go quickly through the patterns, just, you know, because maybe you guys have these. We could do a stitch along or something. A Little Easter by Lizzie Kate, which is just cute and sweet and Eastery colors. And I got the Hometown Holiday Grandma's House, which love. A little truth about Pam from Stitching Between the Lines. I once had an article published in a newspaper, and it was called Going to Grandma's, and it was about going to my grandmother's house. It was a little local newspaper in the town I was born in Ohio, and I wrote this thing about what it meant, what it was like, what it meant to me to go visit my grandmother's. Going to Grandma's, we called it. It was the highlight of our year when we were going to Grandma's. So that house, just, you know, in the name and what it represents is why I wanted it. I got this one, the North Wind. I could maybe already have this. I'm not sure. I saw it. I didn't get it. I saw it done, stitched up, and then I went and picked it up. Took the chance that maybe I have it. And little Lizzie Kate Summer Smalls. It's time to get some, you know, cute, pretty summers out. And Chick Party, again by Lizzie Kate. I really just like her Eastery colors, springy colors. And then this one, I have wanted to do this one, and I think a lot of you probably are doing the same. It was stitched up, and it was on the wall. And you know, sometimes that's all it takes, is seeing it stitched. But this one, you'll all recognize this Mirabilia Halloween Fairy. And I know you can still buy the pattern, along with the warning that maybe some of the accessories are no longer available because it's been out for a while. But look, we're hiding the price because, you know, there's things in there, so it's all kitted up, so I had to get it. Excuse me. And then my fabrics are Joblin's, I got a fat quarter of time. Let's see if we can see that pretty green. I didn't go with the intention of any projects because I don't really know what I'm doing. I just got the fabrics that tend to be the colorways I really like. I don't know. This fairy might work on there. The only problem is the green of her wings. The green thread that are used in the wings is very close to the green. When you start to use overdyes and so on, you look at a bland background and it just looks bland. You know, just a neutral background, and you think, I could do better than that. So that's a possibility. We'll have to see. And I got a fat quarter of a Joblin 28 count Twilight Mist. It's a blue-gray. Oh, there we go. Right there now, that looks pretty good. And a fat quarter of Edinburgh 36 count Vintage Country Mocha, because I'm starting, you know, I'm going to become a 36 count stitcher. So just a neutral overdyed. And I got a fat half of Vintage Country Mocha Cashel 28 count. Just another pretty overdye neutral, but this is really, I had a hard time stopping at 3 on this one. I was thrilled to see that she had some of the linen gingham. So I got a fat quarter of pumpkin and a fat quarter of the Aztec red. Isn't that beautiful? This is what the 12 Days of Christmas is being stitched on, which I'm not stitching, but they're awful pretty. It's just a pretty red. And then my favorite, a quarter yard of blue jeans, which the shop owner said, oh, wouldn't a snowman look great on that? Probably not what I would have thought of, but she's right. So those were my fabrics, and they're going to just be wonderful to go throw into my stash. Let me put those out of the way. And then before I went, I ordered a little bit of stuff from Silver Needle. I don't remember why. Probably I was checking around online and saw that they had these in the auto program, which I was just toying with getting. And then, you know, Vanna's border, and it involves patriotic bunting. If something has bunting on it, I want to stitch it. I hang bunting out on the front of my house every year. Love it. So I got the first two and signed up for the automatic. Yay. Lucky me. And then, because I was ordering, you know how it is, I ordered a few things that were things that I just wanted. I've been wanting. I don't buy all willy-nilly, and whenever somebody shows something I like, I don't necessarily have to go buy it. There's something over here that I did go buy quick. This one, December 25th, with Thy Needle and Thread, right? Did I get that right? Christmas at Winterberry Cabin by Brenda Gervais. And Liberty for All, which is also Brenda Gervais. I have loved this one. I keep talking myself out of it every time I see it online because I say, look how much white there is in there. You'll go crazy. It'll work out. It'll be fine. And I also bought this. I might be putting this in. I bought some of the spool of that thread, the Easy Count guideline, because I'm working on Freedom for All. Let freedom ring. Whew. It's a big piece of fabric, and I'm struggling a tiny bit with like finding my way. Or maybe once I get a little more of it started, I won't feel quite like I'm going to lose myself. So that's a just in case. I tried using something else once. I tried gridding something large once with a piece of, I can't quite remember. It didn't work out really well. My needle could split the thread, and that wasn't going to work. So I don't want to do that again. And then Nicole, the Buckeye Stitcher, showed that she purchased this book from Hirschner's, and I have never ordered from them before. And I don't know, what do these books sell for? Well, its price on its back is $39.95, and I think they were on clearance for like $4.95. And so she did a little flip through and showed some things in there, and when she showed this pattern, I decided I must purchase this book. There's that one. There's actually quite a few in here that are potentials, but I, of course, have to go for the most complicated ones that would take me months and months to finish. But that town scene or that house scene, love it. Just love it. And then while I was there, they actually had another one that was running in the same price range. Cover price, $39.95, which, you know. And it's this pattern by Barbara Anna Designs that I really like. But then there's another one that just as in the flipping through, I see, and it's entirely possible I have this pattern somewhere by Sue Hillis, but I don't know. I liked it. There's more in the book, but I'm not going to show you everything. If you want to see it, if you want to see something in particular, let me know. I'll show it. And then because Hirschner's was they weren't having a sale, but because I signed up for their newsletter or emails or whatever, they sent me a coupon. And I ordered this, which, honest to God, from the price, I thought was a kit. I honestly thought that was a kit. It's not. It's lots of pages of pattern. It's like full coverage, but I really like the vintage Easter postcard look of it. So anyway, with my coupon, so I didn't really pay full price. And even if it was a kit, I wouldn't have used the fabric, I'm sure. So it's not like I'm really out anything. It just uses DMC thread, which I might have virtually every one of. So that'll work. So that's good. So my stash grew a lot in the last few weeks. And then I have some finishes. So first, I'm going to talk a little more about St. George, Utah, because I can, and I'm here, and seeing what my progress and finishes will be the lure to make you stay. So we go there, and people from the Southwest know exactly, or people who have been there know exactly what the whole topography looks like in the mountains. And I was surprised to be the amount of lava rock, that there's a lot of lava, that there must have been over time, lots of lava. We did a little bit of, we did a drive through and a little walking in Snow Canyon State Park, which was very close to where we were. But you could see there's lots of lava rock, lots and lots of lava rock. So anyway, that was very, very, very pretty. One of my number one goals on this trip was to see some wildlife, not up close and personal, out the car window. That was good. We had been to Colorado before. My brother lives outside Denver, and we'd been up in the Rocky Mountains and stuff, and he kept saying, oh, I'm sure you'll see some whatever, I don't know, elk, I don't know. Not one. So the first day was when we went to Snow Canyon State Park, and we stopped at the first place where you can stop and you can get out and you can hike. And they had this brochure warning you of the desert tortoises, to keep an eye out, and it tells you what to do if there's one in the road, what you should do about picking up and moving it to safety. Did we see one? No. First of all, our hotel, which had a beautiful open out sliding door that opened out onto a lovely, lovely patio with lots of greenery. Cottontail bunnies. I got cottontail bunnies in my backyard. No big thrill there, except there were some babies, which were like the size of kittens. Snow Canyon, no tortoises. What do we see? A gray squirrel. I have gray squirrels in my backyard hogging my bird seed. Dominating the bird feeder. Again, no thrill. So the next day when we drove to Hoover Dam, you drive through a mountain pass, and we drove through, and I'm sorry, I apologize for anybody who's local, because people do this to my area. They get the names of things wrong. We drove through the Lake Mead Recreational Preserve, maybe, to get to Hoover Dam, and you could have gone another way, but we decided to go that way, and it was very scenic, and there weren't any cars but us, and you drive for at least a solid hour at least, and there's nothing to see but wide open desert and mountains. I never took my eyes off the scenery, the mountain, like the fields, deserts, whatever. I never saw a thing. Not one thing. But we're driving along, and I'm gazing at this. I'm not missing a thing. And my husband goes, like, this visible jump. I said, what? He said there was a giant snake in the road. Do I see a giant snake in the road? No. It was one of these things. Now, local to that area, you might have a clue. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen it from the safety of my car. But no, didn't happen. Another day. Oh, so we get through, not even all the way through that park, there's a sign that says ram crossing next 5 miles. Do we see a ram? No. We go to Hoover Dam, we drive out of Hoover Dam, and we go to the next town over. I'm sorry, I don't remember the city name. It was where one of the camps were for the workers. So anyway, it's a nice little town. We had lunch on Main Street, out in open air on the sidewalk. There's signs that say, watch for sheep. Do we see any sheep? No. It's almost ironic we didn't see sheep, because where I live, my road is maybe about a 2-mile long road, and it turns the corner, and so it's a pretty big. The block I live on is probably 5 square miles of land inside, and there's a large sheep farm in there, and the sheep get out sometimes, and there's sheep on my road, so it almost would have just like been the total icing on the cake to see sheep. We didn't. It was like, watch for sheep. Not because they were in a pen somewhere, but apparently there were sometimes sheep out on the road. I don't know. But again, happens in my own neighborhood. So didn't see any sheep. And then later in the week, we went to an outdoor adventure place where we rode razors on a mountain. Sand Mountain was the name. Rock, these things climb rocks, and they zip through the sand dunes, and they climb down rocks, and so we're way the heck up there on these things, and we're way, whatever. Do we see a single stitch of wildlife? Nope, not a thing, except as we're driving along, my husband goes, oh my gosh, something just ran across the road. But do I see it? No, because I'm watching out, I don't know, the scenery. Excuse me, which was kind of hard to do, because that's a really rough ride. You mostly watch the road because you got to know when you're going to be jostled and jiggled and shook around which way. Or did you need to be scared because you were going to be like on this thing going straight down or straight up? That was very exciting. We're getting a little old for these kinds of adventures because our insides can't take the jarring, but we had a good time. I said to my kids who couldn't believe we did it, if you follow me on Instagram, there's some pictures of us in our helmets and our stuff anyway. But I said, I didn't scream once. My husband said, that's true. You said, oh dear, a couple times, but there was no screaming, yelling, shouting. I never told him to slow down. It was funny. We could see the people in front of me, and we could see the wife kind of yelling at the husband. So I don't know what the problem was up there. So anyway, it was an adventure. No wildlife still. I didn't see any new wildlife. Nothing that I don't see at home. So anywho, it was a very fun time, and I brought home a cold. And we came home to rain. It's rainy and cold. I went to the grocery store yesterday in flip-flops, and people were wearing their winter coats. Whoops. It wasn't that cold, but summer's missing in action. Anyway, before I went, I brought my pile together of things to show you, and it's not necessarily in order. I finished Ornamental Joy. If you remember the last time I showed it, I talked about the little dirt smudge that the iron made. It washed right out. So there it is. It's lovely. All that red makes me a wee bit nervous because red can run. But I already pressed it a little bit, no steam, to get it a little flatter. But I might make that into a pillow as opposed to having it framed. So I need to really make sure I get it pressed nice. So there's that. And I'm really going to try to insert pictures of how things looked prior. I'm going to work on that. We'll see how I do. So I'll try. And my next piece is The Trees and Me by X's and O's, which is so much fun to work on. But before I show you my project or progress, I'm going to tell you this. In the instructions, there's some instructions about the details of the swinger, which they describe as a girl. Would you really call that a girl? I've been saying it's a little boy all along. I mean, after all, I have that memorabilia piece with the girl with all her dress hanging in the wind as she swings. I'm going with this as a boy. I don't know. I'm not up to the point where he's being stitched yet. I'm getting close. I'm going to be doing the rope next. So how's that look? Well, there's a needle in there. There's a lot of fussy business in this thing. Those little leaves and the outlining of them and the branches. There's still some more branches for me to do. And I feel like possibly the child on the swing will go quicker because it's just more traditional cross stitch without all the one stitch, two stitch nonsense. And then I actually managed to start. I've been itching to start it, so maybe it's a matter of that I held off and finally started. Let Freedom Ring. There's the pattern in all its glory. I found the color, the one thread, overdyed thread that I needed, Freedom. I found that in Las Vegas, which I knew I would. So I have started, let's see. I'm going to have to look up the architectural names so I can correctly say what I've done. This is the rail across the roof. I'll get the picture out again so I can show you. So I've done the rail and I've started what I could only just call maybe the bell tower. And you can see that the color, which is maybe 3866, pretty blends in a lot. But I think once more picture gets done, it'll stand out. So let me get the picture back out so we can see that. So it's the rail that goes all the way across here. I've done some of the red and some of the blue-gray. And I've started up into what will be the whitish color that surrounds the actual clock. It's been a slow go because I first started just stitching it in hand. And it was awkward to reach your hand back and forth around all that fabric. That felt like such wasted movement. So I put it on the Q-snaps last night. and it seemed to be a little better. I'm still having trouble positioning it right. I don't want to keep taking it on and off, so I've actually been working on it upside down just because I can reach that part better. I can reach what I'm working on better that way. My objective is to finish this whole thing and then move back to a page of my Heaven and Earth design. I've kind of got the itch to go back and do another page of that, so depending on whether the speed of this picks up or not, I may reach a different point of taking a break somewhere else and going back and doing a page of the Heaven and Earth. I really would like to do more than 2 pages a year or so, which is about, maybe I've done 4 pages in a year. Still not very good. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. The pattern is just fabulous to work with. It's just really nicely large print and so clear. It's a lot of pages, but that's okay because it's such a large print, clear pattern to work with. And I just put mine in a binder with, page protectors on it to make it easier to handle. I still, I stitch really in hand. I don't have a lot of anywhere where I spread out my stuff. It's on my lap. I use a lap desk, which is the one item if somebody ever asked me what was my favorite accessory or whatever, is my lap desk. I'll show it sometime. It really helps keep the pattern in place and in a nice spot. And then I took some stitching to stitch on the airplane, which is funny. I don't like to stitch on an airplane, but it was a long flight, so I just took something. And also to have when we were at the hotel, because, there might be a little stitching time. My husband had some time when he was in meetings and so on, and I didn't always do the spouse activities that were planned. I know. The one day when the spouse's activity was way into the afternoon, from morning until way into the afternoon, I had booked a spa treatment that day, so that was only an hour. The people there for the conference were in their meeting for a fair amount of the time, so I had some free time, so I could stitch. But anyway, and also because I need to use a magnifier when I stitch, I thought I would try doing some perforated paper patterns, and I really did have good luck being able to see what I was doing. So I did this. I managed to finish it. Let's see. Now, it really did come out fine. Nice. I love doing beading. You see this corner missing? This is what happened, and this is how you fix it. I got a little knot in my thread somewhere on the back, somewhere over in here. And when you're stitching, you just put your needle in that little knot and you just give it a little tug and it pulls out the knot. Instead, it didn't come out as easily, or the perforated paper doesn't have the same amount of resistance as your fabric. So I actually ended up ripping the paper between a hole or two. So I cut out the corner and I put that piece on the back, and that added the stability I needed in the area where the holes had been ripped. And nobody's ever going to know it's there. It's never going to show. The X's formed like they should, and everything looks good. So that's how you fix that, if you have a little bit of perforated paper to fix it. So hopefully next time I get a little knot, I'll be a little more careful pulling it out, because I started the next one. I didn't get very far though. Frosty, which is done on the blue perforated paper, and I only just got, my thread is everywhere. Holy cow. That's weird, because I don't know that I would have wrapped that like that. The tiniest little bit of the top of Frosty is started. So I will leave this piece by my chair in this office, which I enjoy sitting in and reading, and the TV in here. We just watch Hulu or Netflix on. It doesn't have anything else hooked up to it. Ooh, you guys went away. Holy cow. There you are. I'll put it, since I don't need a magnifier, I'll put these little perforated paper pieces in this room and maybe stitch on them occasionally. Who knows? It could take me years to finish it. This is the other one I brought because I was sure I'd have so much time I'd finish all the things. No. And my cold made me, and my level of tiredness made me not stitch on the way home at all. So anyway, I'm pretty pleased with what I got done. And now that there's no trips in my immediate future, I may be able to get lots and lots of stitching done. So it's supposed to be summer. My daughter's home from college. She works summer camp, so when that summer camp starts, she'll be there. But in the meantime, she substitute teaches, and so she's hardly much of a burden. My grocery bill is a lot bigger because I have to, obviously feed another person. But she'll pack her lunch when she has to go to school and stuff. And my summer book club will be starting, and my summer ladies card playing thing will be starting soon. So my summer gets a little busier, but it's in a nice way. There's a cat trying to make his way over here to see me. Let's see, maybe he'll come through. This is Murphy. This is rare. This is rare that you get to see this kitty if he'll concede. Murphy, can you say hi? He's up here. Murphy's a big boy, a brother of the little boy that's the hyperactive cat. He's not a real lap cat, but he concedes occasionally to get on Mom's lap. Not going to be right now. So, but he hears me talking, I'm sure, so he got up from his day-long nap to come and see me. So my older daughter came home and stayed with them, so they're not neglected when we travel, but they're sure glad when we're home. Life goes back to what they concede is normal. So anyway, Flosstube 11, wrapping it up. I will be back soon for Flosstube 12 because a box is coming in the mail from Vanna, and we'll see those things. If you follow her on Instagram, you've actually already probably seen them and just don't know that they're my things. So we'll show those soon, and I'm sure this is more than 15 minutes, so hopefully we'll make it work. I'll edit out a bunch of stuff if it can't be. So, and it'll probably take forever and a day to upload because, terrible, horrible, very bad internet. But whatever. I was going to make a video when I was away, but I didn't. Just some things didn't coordinate quite the way they could have, should have. And I didn't do it. So anyway, have a good one. It's a rainy Tuesday here in Western New York, but what can you do? Can't change the weather. You just have to accept it. So happy stitching.